said he was
go.
a Democrat.
Yeah. He never said he was a Republican either.
He didn't.
But they knew where he stood.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, the school board will move out of recess, back into session, and we will begin with agenda item D, our pledge of allegiance. If everyone would rise, if they are able, remove your covers and join Cassandra Boss in the pledge. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Cassandra. And moving on to item 1E, approval of the agenda. Motion is in order. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item F, our new agenda item. That was a typo. We already completed the closed session. Moving on to item 4, consent agenda. A motion is in order to approve the consent agenda minus item H, instructional material purchase, which has been referred back to the committee, the Educational Services Committee. Motion is in order.
Second.
Any discussion? Or item a board member wishes to remove for individual consideration? Going once, going twice. Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda minus item H, state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then item H will be referred back to the Educational Services Committee. Mrs. Boyer? No, that's just so you know, it's going back to your committee. Okay, item 5, clerk's report. In the absence, Mr. Bowman is absent and excused. I will read the clerk's report. Certification of the Board of Canvassers. We, the undersigned, certify that we are the members of the Muskego, Norway School Board of Canvassers for the Muskego, Norway School District. We hereby certify that the tabular statement of votes cast and summary statement of the Board of Canvassers canvassed and prepared by us are correct and true as compiled from the original returns made to the Muskego, Norway School Board clerk. We further determine and certify that the following persons received the greatest and the next two greatest number of votes for the respective office, which each was a candidate on April 5th, 2022. Those candidates with the highest number of votes were Laura Cotney and Mr. Brett Hyde. And just make sure I don't have anything else here. The April 5th, 2022 tally sheets will be uploaded for the Board of Canvassers, which they have been, and the official oath will be administered to the elected school board members prior to April 25th, 2022. I think Mrs. Cotney already offered to, we'll make sure we get that done prior to that date, and Brett will make sure we get that done prior to that date. It's an important part since we don't convene as a board until May, so we want to make sure we get that done. And congratulations to you both. Okay, moving on. Student report. Alana Perry, I believe, is on here. Did we have the?
We'll work on that if we
Okay,
could move it to it. Yeah, thank you.
We'll bypass that. Thank you, Tony. We'll move on to item 7, superintendent's report. Dr. Thompson.
Okay, we're going to start with our Compass Award. So, Mr. Peterson, if you want to give a little intro to that, and if Jen Giggle, Miriam Maya, and Jessica Kuchka, you could come up and join us in the center.
right, so on behalf of the district, we are extremely excited to share with the board and the community and family members the Compass recipients for this school year. But before doing so, we think it's important for us to share a little bit more about the Compass Award itself. So the purpose of the Compass is to reinforce and recognize staff who, through their collective commitments and contributions, ensure that every student is learning, growing, and succeeding, which is our mission statement. Specifically, the Compass honors staff members who meet designated criteria in the following areas. The first one is a positive impact on students. The second one, positive impact on staff, parents, in the community. The third, a commitment to continuous improvement, leadership and/or service. And the last one, a champion for innovation, creativity, and best practice. So essentially, through the Compass Award, parents, students, and staff have an opportunity to nominate the Muskegon Norway School staff members who exemplify those aforementioned qualities. The nomination process includes a minimum of 3 individuals who contribute in writing to documenting how the staff member meets the criteria. A team of administrators and staff members, and that would be Compass Award recipients from the prior year, review the many nominations that come in and meet to determine who the recipients will be. The team then surprises the recipients at their respective school or workplace. We did this year on March 18th in the presence of students and/or staff, if possible, to share with them that they are a Compass recipient. What I can share with you is there are a lot of tears and cheers that happen on the morning that we do recognize those very well-deserved people. Those recipients receive recognition, like tonight at a board meeting, which we'll do so in a minute, and are recognized alongside staff members in their own building. We plan to do that later in May. So at this point, I would like to turn it over to our school board president, Chris Buckmaster, and superintendent, Dr. Kelly Thompson, where they will individually recognize each of our Compass recipients.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. We'll start with Jessica.
So here we have a certificate of appreciation. The Muskegon Norway School Board congratulates third grade teacher Jessica Krushka on being named by Muskegon Norway Schools as a recipient of the 2022 Compass Award. The Compass Award honors staff members who have been nominated by parents, students, and/or colleagues and exhibits positive impact on students, staff, parents, and the community, and has demonstrated a commitment to continuous improvement, leadership, and service. Jessica Krushka was identified as someone who sets the bar at a high level for both her students and colleagues. She is intentional with her planning and designs opportunities to engage students in authentic and integrated ways that support the academic, social, and emotional needs of her students. Jessica leads her grade level team in planning and is a strong communicator with parents who have a pulse on their own child's learning. The Muskegon Norway School Board commends Jessica Krushka for her exceptional leadership that brings honor not only to herself, but to the Muskegon Norway community, ensuring every student is learning, growing, and succeeding, and signed by the officers of the school board. We have a certificate of appreciation. The Muskegon Norway School Board congratulates Administrative Assistant Mary Amaya. Mary Amaya was identified as someone who is always seen with a smile on her face, no matter the challenges she is working through behind the scenes. She is a calming presence, an advocate for students, and a champion for students who need extra love and care on their hard days. Mary goes above and beyond in all she does to serve the schools and always treats each person she encounters with dignity and care. The Muskegon Norway School Board commends Mary Amaya
for her exceptional leadership that brings honor not only to herself, but to the Muskego Norway community, ensuring every student is learning, growing, and succeeding. Signed by the officers of the school board. Certificate of Appreciation. The Muskego Norway School Board congratulates social worker Jen Giggle on being named by Muskego Norway Schools as a recipient of the 2022 Compass Award. Jen Giggle was identified as someone who surpasses the expectations of her job description and puts her whole heart and soul into creating the best possible experience for students while they are at school, as well as supporting them in many ways outside of school. Jen's work goes far beyond school as she helps students develop the skills they need, and she is a champion for so many. The Muskego Norway School Board commends Jen Giggle for her exceptional leadership that brings honor not only to herself, but to the Muskego Norway community, ensuring every student is learning, growing, and succeeding. Signed by the officers of the school board.
I wasn't sure. Wait. All right, so we're going to get a picture. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you so much. So I'll come on this side and
Is this good?
get closer up here. Oh,
Have to smile.
One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. All right.
Congrats again.
The next group that we will be recognizing tonight are our state champion cheer team. So if the cheer team could come on up here. Nice. We're going to read one all the way through and then the names, each name, okay?
Otherwise I'd have to read the, we all understand, right? Okay. So I'll read one all the way through and then the names. All right, so Certificate of Appreciation. The Muskego Norway School Board hereby congratulates Sydney Wolf for an outstanding season culminating in the exceptionally high honor of earning the 2022 Cheer Dance Division Championship at the WACPC Cheer State Championship Competition. The Muskego Norway School Board commends Sydney Wolf for her leadership, dedication, and perseverance in cheer that has brought honor to herself, her family, and the Muskego Norway schools and community. It is presented by the Board of Education and signed by our officers. So congratulations. And Logan Schmidt. Okay. Haley Logan. Haley, congratulations. Jason.
Thank you. You bet. Emily Hagan. Emma Rose. There you go. Stubbs. Bella Flash. Oh, okay, well, that one. Alexa Holberg. Or what is it? Kylie Lerman. Is that right? Okay. Veda Walker? Nope, right here. Got it. Thank you. Nora Linskins? Noah Bindus? Oh, sorry, wrong one. Right.
We'll get to you.
Okay. So should I just read one?
Just read one.
All right, I'm going to read one for the coaches. Okay, and then, okay. So, Certificate of Appreciation. The Muskego Noe School Board hereby congratulates Coach Kelly Peters for an outstanding season culminating in the exceptionally high honor of earning the 2022 Cheer Dance Division Championship at the WACPC Cheer State Championship Competition. The Muskego Noe School Board commends Kelly Peters for her leadership, dedication, and perseverance in cheer that has brought honor to herself, her family, and the Muskego Noe schools and community, and signed by the officers of the school board. Congratulations. Oh, okay, Coach Alyssa Przbelka? Alyssa, oh my gosh, did I say that right or no? Congratulations. There you go.
This should be.
And Coach Nicole Sadesky? Thank you. Congratulations.
Would you like to share anything about the journey the team went on to this year?
This was going to happen. We're just obviously really, really proud of them for their cheer dance routine. It progressively got better each and every time they performed it, and at state, you could tell that that's what they wanted, and they totally deserved the win. So we're super proud of them.
Oh, congratulations.
To have maybe the four of you kind of like crouching.
Let's just see one move, girls.
And then, yes, the coaches in there too. Yeah, maybe each, if everybody could take 1 or 2 steps forward, just so that we can. There you go, perfect.
Right here? It's good? Okay.
We good? Is that good?
Yep, that's good.
Is it ridiculous? Or?
No, that's good. 1, 2, 3. Pick one more. 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you, girls.
All right, now we'll introduce our gymnastic state champions. If they could come on up along with our coaches.
She's there.
Izzy, how are you, girls?
Hey, this is
Emily Rocha.
Yeah, well, that's the gymnastics. It's so nice to see you back. I'm so happy for you. Oh, nice.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, no. I'm sorry.
Oh, you get to be the first. Okay. We good?
We're good.
Okay. Certificate of Appreciation. The Muskego Noe School Board hereby congratulates Izzy Wong for an outstanding season, culminating in the exceptionally high honor of earning 6th on beam and state qualifier on uneven bars at the Gymnastic State Championship competition. The Muskego Noe School Board commends Izzy Wong for her leadership, dedication, and perseverance in cheer that has brought honor to herself, her family, and the Muskego Noe schools and community. Signed by the officers of the board. Oh, gymnastics. I did say that. Congratulations. Oh, it is? Oh, that's weird. Okay.
Okay, so we'll just do this.
Okay, so certificate of appreciation for Hannah Martini. Okay. All right. Okay, for an outstanding season culminating in the exceptionally high honor of earning 4th all around and 4th on uneven bars at the Gymnastic State Championship competition. Congratulations. Kendall. Certificate of appreciation, Kendall Halen, for earning state qualifier on floor and state qualifier on floor at the Gymnastic State Championship competition. Kendall? Yep. Sorry. Congratulations. Kendall. And Kaylee Stoger, for earning 4th on floor and state qualifier on beam at the Gymnastics Competition State Championship. Congratulations. Let's see, Ellie Johnson, for earning 5th on beam at the Gymnastics State Championship competition. Congratulations. Emily Roshan, for earning 3rd on vault, third on floor and 6th on vault at the Gymnastics State Championship competition. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. There you go.
So as a team, first place. So do you have anything you'd like to share as far as the...
Not exactly, but I think anybody who was here 3 years ago, I guess it was, we won a state title that year. And the subsequent year, the WIA made a rule that we could not co-op more than 2 schools. So our 3 seniors, Emily, Hannah, and Izzy, were on that state championship team their freshman year. Then the following 2 years, we stayed combined, and we weren't eligible for the state competition. And then that entire time while we were training, the girls were like, Coach, just give us a shot, we can do it.
Yeah.
So thanks to Ryan McMillan and the athletic director at Franklin, they let us just do a Franklin-Muskego co-op, which made us eligible again this year. And talk about being resilient. These girls came back and won it in their first opportunity. So I love that when kids put a goal in front of them and we can make it happen. So thanks to Muskego and especially Ryan for just giving them the opportunity. And I'm proud of the girls for setting a goal and just knocking it out of the park.
That's super awesome.
Congratulations, girls.
Congratulations. Let's step right up here.
Izzy, you got to be by me.
In addition to winning the state title, they also won the award for sportsmanship, so it's also...
Sorry. Oh, is that for the coach?
Yeah, that's huge. And you have a certificate.
We have
for
one
you
for
also.
Kitty Bar. So, certificate of appreciation. The Muskego Noe School Board hereby congratulates Coach Katie Moore for an outstanding season culminating in the exceptionally high honor of placing first at the Gymnastic State Championship competition. The Muskego Noe School Board commends Coach Katie Moore for her leadership, dedication, and perseverance in gymnastics that has brought honor to herself, her family, and the Muskego Noe schools and community. So congratulations. You bet. And I know Caleb is your son, right?
Yes.
He's friends with the Williams. We're good friends with the Williams. He's an awesome kid. Awesome.
Thank you. I'm good. I was kind of scared when you said Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay. Smile, girls.
All right.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
All right, awesome.
Good job, Emily. Oh, you did awesome. We good?
And we have one more state champion. The 2 teams weren't enough. Now it actually is Noah's turn. Noah, come on up.
How you doing, Noah?
Let's see
Award to get, right? Yeah, so.
Okay, so congratulations, Noah, and we have a certificate.
So we have a certificate here. So Certificate of Appreciation. The Muskego Noe School Board hereby congratulates Noah Bindus for an outstanding season culminating in the highly exceptional honor of earning first place in the boys slalom race at the WIAA Wisconsin State High School Ski and Snowboard Championship. The Muskego Noe School Board commends Noah Bindus for his leadership, dedication, and perseverance on the ski team that has brought honor to himself, his family, and the Muskego Noe schools and community. Signed by the officers of the board. Congratulations.
You want to share anything about the coaching process or how the team did this year?
So, the team did spectacular, so, having Noah around, has been a joy. He's a very talented skier, and he's shared his talents with the rest of the team, and, really brought everybody up with him. It was amazing to see. So, boys were second in conference, third at state. Our girls had a spectacular season as well, so, just really, really a lot of fun and a great season.
Well, thank you for being here. We'll take a picture if you don't mind.
Be good. Smile. Okay.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. All right, thank you.
So, congrats again.
All right, so we are going to transition into our report with the school resource officers and the
Be a
Muskego
good time to
Police.
leave.
So feel free to.
It'd be a good time right now. Okay. See you, Jeff.
Thanks so much.
Congratulations. Congrats.
Let's do a quick whip round of introductions and then go from there. All right. Are you starting? Yeah. Good.
I thought you were actually doing a whole PowerPoint.
He's the public speaker, right? Nah. That's why
Are we doing a word?
Well, the next item on the superintendent's report is the SRO and safety report to the board, and I turn it over to Jeremiah Johnson and the team.
Thank you. So we have some new faces in different places, so I thought we'd just start with a quick whip around of who's who at the table. So we'll start with the...
I guess I'll stand up.
And we're standing.
Chris Delitas. I want to be proper, you know. I'm the SRO at Lake Danoon, Mill Valley, and Lakeview. Turn it over to Jared.
I'm Officer Jared Sandretti. I am the SRO at Muskego Lakes and Bay Lane.
I won't be quite so formal. I'm going to stay sitting. I call it my school resource officer at the high school.
Chief Steve Westfall.
I'm
Amy Cross, Detective Lieutenant, and Supervisor SROs.
Awesome. Thanks. Oh, we do have a presentation.
Yep, it's on the top tab. Oh, you want me to do?
I think Tony took the mouse with him. Thanks, Blake. All right. Should I go to present in the upper right? All right. Again, the SRO report to the board. We'll try to keep the shenanigans short, but this is a picture of our SROs here. Jared couldn't make it, so we edited him in. All right, next. Just as in thinking about safety as a whole, we did a survey of new families about 2 years ago, and we asked what priorities they had when choosing the Muskego Norway School District for their students. And there was about 400 plus responses to this. Number one, thankfully, is academics. Number two is school safety. So I think as parents are selecting places, it's on the forefront of their mind and making sure that they're sending their kids to a safe environment. Slide. We also ask parents how they feel about their child's safety. The specific question we ask on an annual survey is, the school provides a safe environment for my child to learn. and we have progressively been increasing here. Last year, we've seen a huge uptick, which I would say is maybe the COVID effect and maybe some response to the mitigation measures we had in place, but we continue to see growth on that as well, which we're really proud of. Slide. We also asked staff about the SROs and the impact that they have in the schools, and we have continued to see that on an upward trajectory as well. So really proud of the work that they do. It's nice to share with parents that we have some of the highest ratios of student to SRO I believe in the state. I know New Berlin also has 3, but in most districts that I'm aware of, they usually have 1 that covers the entire district. So we've been fortunate to have a long history of having 3 in our schools, and it's worked out really well. Slide. This is a litany of things that we do safety related, and by no means is this the entire list. I actually got the opportunity to meet with a parent last week to talk over safety. It took a couple of hours to share all of our things, and by the end of the meeting, he was like, wow, I had no idea this was going on in the school district. It's all anchored by our safety team, which is led by administrators, police, fire, and other folks that come together to really build our program. And what's helpful for us is that it's not all on one person. So let's just say a parent says, hey, I think we should do this. We bring that to the committee and we make decisions with all of our lens. We have a visitor management system which runs all of our visitors against the sex offender database, and we have been successful in using that. It also gives everybody a name badge, and we know who's in our schools all the time. We do threat assessments for any threats that come through. We'll talk a little bit about SUSO in a bit, but we take threats very seriously, and we even send out in our parent newsletters every time there's a message about threats, and that we take them very seriously, and they could have a really hard impact on a student that would choose to even make a joking threat. But all of them are vetted and investigated. We have metal detectors in the district, which Jared will talk a little bit about. We invested in safety glass a while back throughout our district, which would help in the event of an intruder. We have staff certified in after-school safety. The data would actually suggest that more safety incidents are happening after school than during school. So when we all leave for the evening, we have to account for the hundreds of people that are still in our buildings. We use Crisis Manager, which is an online app that has all of our safety protocols in it. What we learn is that when we're in an emergency, we're not diving for a procedure binder, but we're looking to our phones to see what to do next in an emergency. We have off-site agreements with a lot of great partners in the city in the event that we had to evacuate. So those are re-upped every year. So if we had to move students from one school to a different place, we have agreements in place. The police help us with several canine-assisted drug searches each year. And then the community resource officer does site assessments. So currently Officer Sartorius is working through that process at our schools. And so he'll develop a report for us on areas that we can improve, and we take action on what his feedback is. The police generously add patrols when we have traffic concerns, when we have big football games, any event that we ask for, they'll make their presence known. We even had that thing earlier in the year with the, I believe it was called Devious Licks, where students were making false claims across the nation about school day of violence. And so while we knew that not to be true, our police showed a lot of presence on those days just to reinforce their presence. The police department has master keys on all of their police department rings. We have over 400 cameras in the district, and the police department can access them from their videos. Our radio system is in tune with the police department, so they can hear our chatter as we're talking on the radio, and we can talk site to site with our radios. We've done vape testing. So what that means is when we do have a vape, somebody in possession with a vape, the police department will go a further step and test that vape for THC, which a lot of other districts don't do, and it's just an added help, so thank you for that. And we continue to send regular parent communications and have a parent advisory team meeting every year where we share all of our safety plans in depth, and they help us out for a couple hours just sharing with the community what we do to keep our students and staff safe. So, slide. All right, speak up, Officer Chris.
So Speak Up, Speak Out is something that the state actually puts on. It's maintained and it was put into use by the Office of School Safety, which means that we didn't have to develop it. We didn't reinvent the wheel. We're in line with other districts, so students that do transfer from other districts may have a familiarity, even if they are walking in our doors. It's online-based. It's used through an app, online, a website access through their website. You can also still call a 800 number and make a report too. The reporting system is very comprehensive. It covers a lot of different scenarios. Doesn't have to be law enforcement related. It can be just a generalized school issue, such as graffiti. It does not necessarily need to be a threat of any sort that would prompt then a threat assessment that Jeremiah touched on earlier. Student concerns, so if they're being bullied or harassed, they can make a report anonymously through Speak Up, Speak Out. One of the big things is that you can remain anonymous on there, so that way you don't have to identify yourself. Makes it a little bit easier for those that may not want to come and have that face-to-face conversation with us or their teacher or their parents. Student issues, if somebody's feeling like they might commit some kind of self-harm, or a student knows of a friend that is threatening self-harm, they can also make that report directly through the app. Again, it's another layer of anonymous reporting. That way, if you're just not comfortable bringing that to the table, you can. The nice thing with, well, actually I'll touch on that here in a minute. So far this year, we've actually received 13 the last I checked, which was last week, and I don't believe we've had any more since then, reports through SUSO directly. All of those have been immediately investigated. The nice thing with it is they come directly through to administration and SROs, and then further outreach if necessary is direct, if it requires police assistance. We're on the administrative email list, but then if it's a police-related matter, which is especially nice if we're not at work, it gets blasted out to the police department side too, so that it's not just the SROs that are responsible for prompting a police response of any sort. It can be through administration or any of the on-duty supervisors. Our various reports, and again, there's a number of different reports that can be made through SUSO. The ones that we've dealt with this year have been threats, bullying-related issues, graffiti, weapons, drugs, and vapes. So those are just it's a snippet of what we've been dealing with in the district. I already touched with the online and application. It's very user-friendly. And it's also 24-hour, or it's monitored 24/7 by Office of School Safety staff. When you make that report, it goes directly to a person on the other line who will then engage you to try to elicit more information from you. If you're still attached to that call and willing to provide it, there's a way for us to follow up with you directly, even though you're anonymous, through that app. And also then we can communicate as a team, whether it's with the school team, the police department team, or the tipster. I think I've already touched on all those last ones, so.
Nice job. Last year, we had a great group of students come together and create a promotional video that we rolled out to all of our student body this year at all the schools. So Blake helped lead some of that production. It was kind of cool to see them be able to promote it. And what we know is that oftentimes students don't want to sell out their friend, or whatever the case may be, whether it's self-harm or it is a threat. So this provides that avenue for a student to be able to make that report. And what we know is that during school violence situations, almost 99% of the time somebody tells someone else what they're going to do. So this helps to have that avenue of reporting. Blake, slide us. Thank you.
My turn. So I thought I would start just by talking about this year. As many of you know, I was the school resource officer at Muskego Lakes in Baylane Elementary for the last 3 years, and I made the switch to the high school this year. So I basically thought that there would just be some interesting challenges and opportunities that I can encounter at the high school that I wouldn't see at the middle school. And I found it to be really rewarding so far. I miss the middle schoolers, but you know, a saying I've heard a lot in the schools is bigger kids, bigger problems. And that's certainly been the case. You know, the high schoolers get up to a little bit more shenanigans than the middle schoolers do, but I've really been enjoying it. You get to work a lot more with the students in their lives since they're driving. A lot of them have jobs. You work more with their parents and with school staff to support them in the best way as well. And part of the cool thing too is that I knew a lot of these kids in middle school, and so it's been really cool to now see them as they grow up in high school. And again, I just found it really rewarding, so I'm enjoying it. For Critical Response Group, or CRG, this is something new that myself and Tim Gorecki have been working on this year. So we attended with Jeremiah a presentation by this vendor, and basically what it is an improvement to the mapping system. And a lot of different school districts are actually starting to use this company as well. There were some people in the military that actually founded this company. What it is basically, if you look at in a classroom near the door, a lot of times there's a blueprint of the school for an evacuation route. And it's normally an outline of the building, and then you'll have your classrooms that are labeled, that it'll normally have the line that points you where to go. It's professional, it certainly works, but this seems to be a big improvement on that traditional system. So what they do is, as you guys can kind of see, they actually overlay a grid system onto the picture of your campus. And so it starts with A1 in the left-hand corner, and it continues to build on that. The reason that's important is, for the second reason, instead of just having the outline of your building, they actually use a Google Maps satellite view to take a picture of your building and the campus exactly how it lies with north orientation, and you can really see your campus, and they superimpose the blueprint onto that. And so they have all the rooms clearly labeled, they have the hallways that are color-coded, and you can have the same evacuation routes from your room to get out of the building, but there's a lot more you can do with it. You can use toggled sets for things like AEDs, fire extinguishers, and even for big events, say for like football games that we have at the high school. You can say, well, we want people to use this entrance here in D2, and we want them to go around the building and exit over here. And that could be its own toggled set that you could put onto the map. So it seems really cool and a big benefit for the school district just for the ease of having this map that it just seems like it'll be a lot easier to understand for people. So in addition to that, it's helpful for law enforcement. CRG works closely with law enforcement, and there's an app that they provide where any building that they've done, law enforcement has the access to the blueprints, and they've actually worked with some very large, reputable companies in the area, as well as other school districts. And God forbid if something were to happen in a school, whether it's a neighboring jurisdiction or here in Muskego, law enforcement would be able to open up this app, and they would have the blueprints, and if the agencies are communicating with each other, they can say, stage here at D2, you're going to go in the store here at D5. And again, it just makes it so simple to arrive and know exactly where you're going instead of, go to the south side of the building and use door 16, because that could be somewhat confusing for someone that's never been here before. So it's really cool. We are still working on getting them here. They actually are opening up a grant, I think, somewhere in the near future, and hopefully it will be completely funded through the grant. So
Thanks, Dylan.
that's all I got.
Slide. I'll let Jared jump into metal detectors, but just a little history. We've had metal detectors in the district for 3 years. We purchased them with a grant a few years back. Our intent has been, and probably won't be, to have these out full-time anyplace. Jared might talk about some of the obstacles, but they are available for the use. The plan for use would be if their school is ever canceled due to a threat that we found was legitimate, to help everybody feel better coming back to school the next day, we would put them out the next day, maybe the next few days, and have everybody process through them at that school where a threat occurred that caused a school cancellation. Jared?
All right. So in partnership with Dylan and Chris and Jeremiah, and with my administrative team at the school, we conducted a metal detector drill on February 17th of this year. That the team included Officer Chrysolides, Officer Lang, Jeremiah, his team, as well as the select Muskego Lakes administration staff and, again, district personnel. The school staff assisted students through the metal detectors and searched their belongings. Officer Lang and Chrysolides were utilizing the metal detector wands in case a student needed a secondary search, which thankfully in the drill we did not have to utilize Officer Lang or Chrysolides. I'm not sure how Rachel, the principal, selected the bus, but it was a random selection of all the buses that come to the school, and the parents were notified that their bus was selected. So before the drill, I got onto the bus and formally told them that, hey, you've been randomly selected and your bus is going to be a part of a metal detector drill. Again, it's very similar to as if you're going to a Brewer game or going through the airport. All the students were extremely cooperative and understanding, and we had no issues as far as any student misbehavior is concerned. And again, Jeremiah kind of touched on it. The goal of the drill was to come up with and improve plans and procedures in case metal detectors were to be used on a large scale. You timed it, Jeremiah.
It was like 4 minutes.
And I don't remember exactly how many kids. I mean, it was a relatively full bus, so we were able to, again, with the cooperation of the kids and the way we had set it up, get the students through very quickly so that they could get on with their school day. But again, to do this, we wanted to learn, hey, if we have 50 kids, what can we kind of see if we have 600, 700, or even at the high school when you have 1,500 plus students. And once the students were off the bus, I had done a secondary search of the bus in case any student got a little bit nervous and ditched anything. But that just kind of tells you the added length of what would need to happen between the secondary searches of the buses to make sure no kids are getting rid of any illegal things that they may have on them. And plus, it would take a lot of police presence to assist with that, as well as other administrators throughout the district and at the district level and different schools. The purpose of the metal detectors, if it is a legitimate threat, we would roll this out as an added safety measure to be able to get the school year back rolling again. Again, once the kids return to school. We have 4 metal detectors, 1 at each middle school and 2 at the high school, and those are easily transferable to different schools if we need them to, and that is through Jeremiah and his team. So again, it was I thought it was very productive. We were able to set things up and make sure that students knew it was a drill. There was no legitimate threat. Again, the students were super cooperative, and I believe if this had to be rolled out on a large scale between the police department and the school, we would have really great plans in place to make sure that it doesn't take 2 hours to get through however many kids are at school that day. So.
Thanks, Jared. I got to compliment the whole team on everything that they're working through, from SUSO. Chris has really been on the front lines, and our mapping software. Dylan's been doing a great job. And even this process, Jared spent about a month researching, from calling other school districts to looking at best practices of metal detectors and really challenging our thinking of, let's just roll them out and do it. Like, you really thought through that.
Yeah, not to cut you off, but to believe it or not, I called 3, 4, 5 different schools and tried to talk to their SROs. We are one of the few schools that actually have them. Again, we don't want to use them on a daily basis, which we are very far away from, and I don't think we'll ever get there. But even, it was a Milwaukee County school, Nicolay, I want to say, I talked to that SRO, and they only use them once the bell rings, and the school day officially starts. Any student that comes late, they run them through. And I think the biggest problem that they run into is finding vapes in garbages outside of the school, because kids get nervous about that. So there's added benefits to it as well, other than just school safety. So.
Thanks. And Chief, would you like to share a little bit about your One Warrior connection? I think that's pretty cool, that what you've been doing with it.
Shared it last year. Obviously, I'm stealing from Miss McMillan, the One Warrior mantra. And obviously that has to do, my biggest question is, why does that stop at the high school? And I'm trying to emphasize the overall importance that every aspect of our community is intertwined in some capacity. If you take a look at our recruitment video that we've just released, I actually had Dr. Thompson take a look at it ahead of time, there's going to be things all over our recruitment video that I'm trying to get officers to come here and apply. And a lot of that has to do with our partnership with the community, and a lot of it has to do with the school district. I will just say I'm 100% all in. Part of our mission statement also talks about education. And one of the things that you didn't comment on is a Connect Academy. We're going to be working in the Connect Academy coming in this summer with some curriculum that we're working with law enforcement specific to target potential people in your high school to look at avenues of either law enforcement or dispatching in their future professions, as well as possibly getting high school credit for classes that we are facilitating.
Thanks. Officer Our Lieutenant Kraus, would you like to share anything?
Yeah, I'm just real excited with the additions of our two new SROs. Dylan taking his talents to the high school. It's been really neat seeing them grow into this new duties and seeing how dedicated they are to stay engaged with the kids, the school staff. I think they're really kind of hit the ground running. The city's definitely getting more out of them than 40 hours that they're getting paid for. They're putting a lot of time both off duty and on. So I'm real proud of the work they're doing and excited to see where it goes from here.
One last thing, we held a pretty large session here with districts of student services and the police department and the DA. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's a training. Actually, we wanted to do this training for our police officers, but we thought that because of the interactions that happen on a daily basis with the school staff, it was important to get the school staff an opportunity to have this training. We had the deputy district attorney who heads up the sensitive crimes unit, and so we all got together and kind of went over what the best practices are to handle sensitive crimes where we have, excuse me, a juvenile victim. And it's very specific the way we handle those specific kinds of cases, just because we need to make sure that their needs are being met, but also that we're able to make a prosecutable case so that we're ensuring these kids aren't being placed back into a home where their safety is at risk. So I was really excited to see that training take place. I'm really grateful for the district administration that made that possible, and I thought it was very worthwhile.
Nice. Questions?
No, I did want to say though that I thought you guys did a really good job of rolling out the Speak Up, Speak Out at the elementary level, because that's where my kids, I didn't know how that was going to go over when we were learning about it here, like how to present that to kids so young. But they really got it. They came home excited about it. They had their masks and their pens and their goodie bags, and they got it. And so, good job, like breaking that down to their young level and realizing how important it was and how, like the concepts of being anonymous and like all these things that they have no idea about. But you did it and they got it. So, good job.
I've got a comment and then a question. Thank you for everything you guys do. I mean, it's just great being out there. You hear about other districts, larger ones particularly, that there's conflict with the SRO officers and the students. From what I've seen and heard, you guys go out of your way to interact with the students at an appropriate level, not to alienate them, but to help them, let them know you're there to help them. You're their first line of defense, so to speak, in the schools, and then in the community too. When you're out and about, coming to games, things like that, it's always great to see you. My question is about the metal detectors, and I hope we never have to ever roll them out. But if there were a situation, how long does it take to transfer them from one location to another?
Well, we keep one at each middle school permanently and two at the high school, so if we needed to in a split second, we would have one available immediately.
I'm thinking like the elementary schools, so we have the high school start. Would it be, if there was ever a situation, is it possible then to take those two or one of them?
Yeah.
And then one or two at the middle school and get them out to the elementaries? Do you have to recalibrate them or anything? It's just get them onto a truck, get them out there, unload them, and you're good to go?
Yeah, we have a district delivery driver that takes our lunches back and forth and any other things, so we would probably mobilize right away to get everything wherever we needed it. Good question.
First of all, thanks for your service, guys. And then the second one is, how often does Muskego do active shooter training, and also comparable to other district or other departments near Muskego? I'm just kind of curious.
We do it annually.
Holy crap.
As an example, last fall, we were in this building, and I think we left some blanks in the hallway, so I apologize about that. But then COVID kind of shut us down when we basically kind of had an outbreak on one of our teams, but we had in our schools, and this goes back to the critical response group mapping, on purpose, we invited our DNR warden that is in and around the area, because we don't know who's going to be responding if there was a critical incident in that specific school. Like Dylan was talking about, this would give a responding officer from outside our agency the ability to pull up those maps and be able to respond specifically and hop on the frequencies and get into our buildings and assist us with any kind of critical incident here.
Oh, that's, wish other departments would do that same thing. I mean, it's every year, and it's fantastic, thank you.
I have one question. So, I know the community has really reached out to us about wanting to get involved, in the district when it comes to bullying and just, you know, those types of situations where the kids feel unsafe. Do you guys have anything in mind, how you can pull in the community to help you with those endeavors at all? Like more people on the playground, more people, you know what I mean? I just think it would be kind of nice to introduce that a little bit, and I know we've done Police Academy where you can, you know, as a community go in and learn your skills and stuff, which are amazing. But I just think maybe if we can look into inviting the community in more maybe and find out what they can do to help your situation out.
We do have a couple things. We recently began a new volunteer process, which is actually through Raptor, our visitor management. So now we have a strategic process to processing volunteers, so it's a lot more easier for people to volunteer. It does a background check on them. And then as far as like playgrounds go or anything like that, we would definitely give the school the autonomy to make that decision if it was needed. And so recently we worked with a school in the area, one of our schools, and decided that we wanted to ramp up some areas of supervision, and so we would support that. And if there were a need, we could definitely put it out through the Raptor program and solicit volunteers.
It'd be nice to just highlight that maybe in a newsletter or something, so that the community knows the additional stuff that you're doing with them, partnering with them. That's great, and thank you for all you're doing, you're fabulous.
I just have a comment. Obviously, thank you for your partnership. I appreciate, Chief, your forward thinking, thinking outside the box, bringing things forward to our district that may happen and may not happen, so we're prepared, and that you guys are all on board with that, and that you're ready, because that makes us as parents and staff comfortable in these buildings. Speak Up, Speak Out, I have first-hand knowledge of referring somebody to that. It's an amazing program. I mean, it was a weekend. I said, you need to use this, call it. It was immediately addressed. Hung up the phone, and that person immediately got a response from the department, and it was immediately looked into. They felt really just shocked at how fast it got. I think they were a little bit, like, you know, I don't think this is gonna go that fast, but it was very fast response. So thank you for that. This is a great program for all of our kids and parents to be able to use, and the response is wonderful, so thank you.
I told you I was all in, and when those threats come in, my kids are in the school, so there is nothing more priority than when some sort of threat or something, you know, even if it seems half-baked, Detective Lieutenant Krause, we have to investigate all those, sometimes to the nth degree, and we push it as far as we can push it within the confines of that little document called the Constitution.
We're really fortunate to have that program too. As a district, we tried developing something for a few years, and our biggest worry was, what about the 1 a.m. phone call? Are we always on? And obviously the state was onto something and being able to put this out.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. It was a very scary situation that was handled literally within 5 minutes. So it was great.
One more thing. Along with the staff members and their badges, they all have the Muskego Police Department phone number on the back of them. A lot of times people don't know, especially out at recess, if you dial 911 with your phone, especially at my school, it's probably going to send you to Franklin. Other places in the city is going to send you to the Waukesha County Communications Center. And I've had to use that when I was driving down the road. There was actually a high schooler I was off duty, and a high schooler got hit by a car. And being in law enforcement, I got on the phone, I took the phone from one of the friends, and I was on the phone with Waukesha County Communications Center, and it's just, it's added steps to, and it slows down the process of getting police response there. So, especially at my school, I've had conversations, especially with the lunch aides and stuff, to utilize the back of that, because even though it's a 911 emergency, the fastest way to get through on your cell phone is just by calling the Muskego Police Department Dispatch Center with the 679-4130 number. So kind of utilizing and educating them that, because a lot of people don't know with the cell phone, it's going to send you to a different dispatch center who's going to ask you the same questions and then send you to a different center that are going to ask you the same questions. So just to speed up the process.
Is it the same person that answers both numbers if you call 911?
So if you call,
so the same dispatcher that would answer?
So if you call off of a school phone, that's a landline phone, that's going to take you to our dispatch center. And that's going to take you to the same number, essentially. It's a different ringtone that comes through, and it pops up the phone number and a location on their computer. So it's a little bit different, but as far as the cell phone is concerned, no, it's going to take you to a completely different place that does not dispatch for us.
If I call the landline from my cell number,
Yep.
it will ring the same dispatchers if
Yes.
Yes, correct. Yes, correct.
A lot of people don't understand. I think they think it's just getting like a random desk in the police department on that non-emergency, but it's the same.
That goes right to our dispatch
Yeah.
center.
Yep.
It's staffed 24 hours a day.
I think they answer it that way too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How would you know?
I
How many
call
times do you call? What was that number again?
It's 262-679-4130.
Can you get like the ending as 0911 or something to make it easier to remember? That'd be real easy for me, 67909.
It's taken by Culver's.
So I've got a few. I've got a statement and then maybe a couple of questions. So I think it's obvious that we all appreciate our police in our schools. Okay? Our district, our community truly supports our police, and we want to model that to our students. You know, we want to model the consequences of good behavior as well as bad. And I think it's safe to say that you're doing that very well, and we thank you. Also with just the plethora of news, you know, of just threats and whatnot, is a very good feeling from feedback from many parents. When you drive to school or you drop your child off, there's a police car there, a uniformed police officer there. That's a good feeling. And I want you to know that the community feels that way. So, because I know that pickup and drop off is probably not the best time to get encouragement from parents, but it is though, right? So I want you to know that. So we certainly appreciate our police. I mean, we want to model that to our students. A couple of questions I have is, what is your greatest challenge, if you have one, working in our schools? And it could be resources to students, parents. You know, we're great to deal with at times, right? So, but I mean, do you have anything to offer on that? Or there are no. Great, right?
Probably me dealing with me, I think.
I would say only the extent of being here for the school day. I sometimes just need more time, not just dealing with it.
I would say the biggest challenge, and it's not something you ever totally solve, but really just building trust with the students and staff. Having the experience now with 2 different schools, it's really tough to come in as someone brand new and really you're establishing a relationship with 100 plus staff members and 1,600 kids. And so each interaction is really something brand new where maybe your reputation precedes you a little bit, but you still have an interaction with that person who maybe you've never spoken with before. And I've noticed if there's something I didn't handle the best, word can spread somewhat quickly amongst kids, and like if they hear something that happened to one of their friends, they'll come up and like, why'd you do that? Or maybe they don't fully understand the situation. And so just with how much they talk, really you have to make sure with each kid you're putting in that time and effort to build that trust, because one bad interaction could affect a whole group of their friends that you wouldn't really anticipate. So to me, it's really just taking each student conversation seriously. So.
I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but rumor control is an issue from my perspective that, and I know all of you on the school board can relate, of like dealing with juvenile issues, making sure we're being transparent with all the information that we can, but at the same time, kind of heading off rumors before they become bigger incidents has been a challenge as a new chief and with multiple new school resource officers and being able to share, collect in that partnership and again, a shared message with Dr. Thompson.
I would say the biggest one for me, and I'm pretty confident I can speak for Jared on it, is just being brand new this year to the district in whole, and having, I think I've got about 1,500 students between 3 schools. It's like the first day of school, not only for like the kids transferring from one school to another. It was the first day of school for us, for me, 3 buildings, and just getting to know everybody and having the time to have those connections, on top of balancing, the work to be done was the biggest struggle I've had. But it's been, it's been a challenge that's been able to be overcome, and popping in and out of the different schools, I've definitely seen the changeover. So I think that'll be mitigated a little bit next year with having 3 of the 4 same classes in my primary school, and then interacting with the same kids for the most part in the other grades.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm not just saying this because he's sitting right here. I had a tough act to follow because Officer Lang did a very good job building relationships. And I think one of the hardest things for me is learning names. And when you have to get, again, 800 plus people, including the staff and stuff, and learning all their names and building a relationship. And kind of everybody does their job a little bit differently, but the goal is all the same, letting them understand and see my perspective from the way I would see things, and trying to build the trust with students. Sometimes students bring things to you, and having to differentiate between a school issue and a police issue, which at the middle school level, a lot of times it is just a school issue that we assist on, but making sure that they trust that we're going to get the right people involved. And sometimes they don't understand what's all happening behind the scenes, and it might take a day or 2, depending on the severity of the situation. And, concerned students come in your office and say, did you handle this? We're working on it. Like I told the principals, and we are working through it, and they will connect with you. So again, just keeping them engaged, keeping their trust, laughing and joking. With, 5th to 8th grade is a huge age difference. Letting them know when I can be Mr. Sandretti and we can have fun and joke around, and when it's Officer Sandretti. And I think we've done a really good job, especially at my school, of differentiating the two. And especially since the second semester has started, more students just coming in just to talk with me, letting me know about their day, and there is no issues. It's just they just want to come spend time, which has been really fun to see. Because sometimes, it's like you go home after school and it's like, boy, did I do a good job today? Did I make any students mad, which you don't want to do? But no, it's been a real privilege, and it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, good. Thank you for all that feedback. My last comment is, I know it's probably not a question you want to answer, but but the question is, do you have the resources to do what we're asking you to do? And not suggesting you don't. I think our staff manages this very well, but at times staff may feel they're in a box possibly we've created. And I'm sure Dr. Thompson and I have a direct line with our chief and give that feedback so we can have that and break down those barriers, because we want to keep this relationship going, and we just appreciate it so very much. So, and I will attest at Muskego Lakes, I was told I have to behave as well in class, or I'm going to go see you.
I'd just share that even beyond the folks we see here, Sergeant Fons has been amazing helping us with traffic control. Believe it or not, Eric Nowicki is still doing some DARE classes for us, so we've seen him in Lake Dune last week. And then Officer Satorius has been really good with just communications and working together. So just all around, thank you guys for all the support and all the resources you provide.
Well, thank you too, Jeremiah, for just overseeing and administering this program and all the efforts that are on here. I mean, you're our voice, and basically you're the echo of what we want to see in our schools. So appreciate that as well. So.
All right, well, let's give them a round of applause.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
The program that you were showing us with the grid and stuff, is that on an app that you guys all have too, or not?
Yeah.
It is, oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So it's like a publicly available app, but only law enforcement can actually get the credentials to use it. I won't share the name of it, but it's something that's kind of spreading throughout agencies now.
For board member Zimmerman, I believe Harley's gonna be using that same technology based upon what they had at Harley Davidson, so that you know which buildings, if you have a critical incident there, it's the same company.
Well, our department will probably get like 30 years later when
I think Harley's paying for it though.
They won't get it for a while.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your partnership. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here tonight, too. All right.
All right.
All right, the last item in the superintendent's report is the contributions to the profession. Just a couple of them listed there, and that concludes the superintendent's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson.
Well, actually, I have one more thing.
sorry.
Cassandra, thank you so much for your service, and we're going to miss you on the board, but very much appreciate all the time. And Lori, congratulations, and we look forward to building a relationship with you. And Brett, congratulations for being on the board again, so, to all of you, so. Congratulations. I'm not coming back.
Okay, are we good?
Yes.
Okay, and ends the superintendent's report, moving on to other reports. Item 8.
Are we able to do the student report yet? Still on?
I'm like doing my thing here. Can you?
Oh, I think we're moving on to the reports.
Oh, I'll get to it.
I don't want to miss it.
Oh. All right, on to item 8, other reports, notwithstanding Mr. Hyde. So President's report. At this point, to your point, the sound, there's some challenges. So the student report is in here. It is being uploaded to YouTube as we speak, and it'll just be in there with the audio, correct? So
Okay,
that's
so
fine.
you can watch it at home.
Yeah, so you can we'll watch it at home.
I was thinking you could read it while Alana's.
No, I'm not going to read it. So. Okay, President's report. So very, let's see, just some things. Let's see, the music department, the band and choir of the high school performed at Disney over spring break and just did a spectacular, awesome job. Hats off to all the individuals involved in that, from the music and band directors, the flights that went out there, the cars that broke down, including ours, and everything in order to get our students safely to Disney, have them perform, and then get them back safely. Thank you very much. It was it was an outstanding event. The cabaret is in 2 weeks at so not this coming Friday, but the Friday after. And it'll be at Muskego High School. So if you haven't been to one of those, they're a very exciting performance by our band and music departments. Outside of that, I just want to thank Cassandra Boss for her service on the board. It's been a pleasure to have served with you. And then also congratulations to Laura Conti and Brett Hyde. So, and that, and we talked about the swearing in. We'll take care of that. And that ends the president's report. And on to, I'm going to jump to committee reports as we have one. Mrs. Boyer.
The Educational Service Committee, we met tonight and we reviewed some textbooks and some board curriculum updates. We are at this time not going to recommend moving the textbooks forward until we have a little bit more time to look through them. And then we will bring them back at our next board meeting in May.
So you'll be meeting, so that agenda will be at the Educational Services Committee meeting in May. Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Boyer. Now moving up to board member reports. Board member reports. Or do you have a comment on the committee report?
Yeah, sorry, I was off of Terry's thing.
Okay, please.
Didn't mean to interrupt.
That's fine.
Okay, so next week, our next by next month, we can come in here and view the books and have them here? Like, don't check them out, but have them here so that we can, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I
a
just wanna-
good point.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I
Thank
was
you.
going to do
That's a
that
good-
right.
That's actually a good point, yeah.
Starting tomorrow.
Starting tomorrow, got it.
Okay, now moving on to board member reports. Mrs. Blair.
I actually do, well, I did not put anything in here for this meeting because our meeting is tomorrow.
Who's the, did you hire?
CISA one.
Did you hire someone?
We, yeah, well.
You will, it's not
It'll be
public.
tomorrow,
Okay,
so
okay,
that's why
right.
I didn't want to put it in here, but I
Okay.
will email you guys all the big announcement of
Okay.
who gets hired on as
Thank you.
executive director.
Thank you for all your time.
Yeah,
on that.
it's been
It's-
over 40-some hours of.
I appreciate the text and the updates, but
And it's like,
it's
and it's
good.
till like midnight.
Yeah,
I've been, yeah. I'm like, Chris, I'm just going home now.
Yeah.
So.
I appreciate that.
It's been a
yeah.
good process and it's been very, yeah, very good. So I will let you guys know tomorrow.
Thank you.
If everything goes through.
Mr. Zimmerman.
My only thing is I extended my scholarship thing to the May 1st due to a couple of students approached me and get their
Okay.
acceptance letters in, so I want to make sure they had the opportunity to apply for it too.
Good, thanks, sir. Mr. Hyde.
I just got a couple things. One is, the WSB, we just had our meeting this past weekend, and one of the things that may still be of interest, everybody should have been, every school board member in the state should have been mailed out that we are having, the Wisconsin Institute for Public Policy Research, WIPS, basically they do surveys, focus groups. We're having them do a focus group to make sure that we are providing the proper services that our membership needs. And there, I believe, should still be open 1 or 2 spots in the April 19th focus group for board members. Also, there's one for board presidents on April 26th. I don't know if you're interested, Chris. I think that one might be full, but I think they were still looking for 1 or 2 board members, so.
Okay.
If anybody's interested, you can check your emails or ask me, I can get the information. The other thing is Cassandra, we'll miss you. You've done a wonderful job these past 3 years. It's been great working with you. And the final thing is, happy birthday, Dr. Thompson.
Oh, yes, thank you. We're tired.
Who schedules a board meeting on their birthday?
Question,
Yeah.
who brought in the cake?
Oh,
And the candles?
I ate it all, so, sorry.
Doesn't sound like anyone. Thank you, Brett. Mrs. Boyer. Board member report.
Nothing.
Okay, Mrs. Voss.
Just thank you for letting me be here with you guys for the past 3 years. It's been really great, learned a lot, had a lot of fun, had a lot of work, COVID.
Oh, my gosh.
But it's been really a great experience, so thank you all. And Eric, who taught me so much when he was still here.
Okay,
Thank
and that ends the board member reports. Moving on, item 9, resolution action items. A, 2022-23 budget assumptions. So, motion to approve, I'll do this in the absence of Bob. Motion to approve the 2022-23 budget assumptions as presented. This has been discussed and shown over the past month. Any questions or concerns? Hearing none. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Did we have a motion?
Motion carries
No,
unanimously.
he did not.
Oh, I did? I thought I did.
You just presented
Oh,
it, we didn't
darn
motion it.
See, when Bob's not here, I just.
I'm not going to get you watching.
All right. Okay,
So moved.
motion to approve the 2022-23 budget assumptions as presented.
So moved.
All right. Any discussion? Thank you, Mr. Hyde. All right, hearing
I'm
none.
watching you.
All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on, item 9B, food service equipment. Motion to approve the purchase of food service equipment for Lake Danoon and Muskego High School from Kenish's as presented.
So moved.
Any discussion? What is brought before you is what was discussed. It's funded out of our food service fund balance. No impact to our levy or budget.
What do we, after this, what do we have in our food service fund balance? Roughly.
Over 450,000.
So, okay, we're barely making it back.
Any other
And
discussion?
this is the same place that we used before, or is this?
This is a common place.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's only a few vendors out there that
Right.
do food service with it, so.
Okay.
Anything else? Hearing none. All those in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on, item 9C, HVAC controls at Muskego High School and Lake Danoon. Motion to approve Masters Building Solutions to install new HVAC controllers at Muskego High School and Lake Danoon Middle School in the amount of $95,396. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
I just
Motion
want to
carries
make sure that
unanimously.
we've
Yep.
used these guys before and we feel comfortable with them. Yes, okay.
Thank you. Moving on, item 9D, gifts, grants, and bequests. Oh, boy. So, all right, motion to approve, with thanks, the following gifts, grants, and bequests. Sims family, $300 to Lake Danoon Middle School Choir Program. American Heart Association, $1,500 to Bay Lane Elementary School. Material Control Solutions, $3,000 to Muskego High School for Muskego High School Robotics. Friends of the Muskego High School Music Makers, $2,632.64 to Muskego High School for the Muskego High School Musical. Tree of Life Chiropractic Wellness Center, $200 to Muskego High School for MHS Lacrosse. Jeffrey and Michelle Genner, $400 to Muskego High School for MHS Lacrosse. James and Colleen McGigan, $150 to Muskego High School for Muskego High School Forensics.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All those in favor, state by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on, item 10, discussion items. A, 2022-23 budget. I believe that's a standing item. Julie, we don't, yeah, okay. And then moving on to item B, which is, I think Lisa's here, financing plan for our referendum. Julie?
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Your faces. It's so hard, because I don't know if you guys know, I moved to Waukesha, Muskego, so it was so hard to, like, even drive here. I was all emotional. Oh my gosh. So if some of you don't know, I was on the board back in like 2003 or 4, and then all 3 of my kids graduated from Muskego. You guys do great work. I was so impressed with what these guys had to say and just everything that's going on. It's so exciting. My oldest went from 3 to 21, and he's living on his own, doing great. And then my younger 2, one's an engineer and one's a physical therapist. So thank you for all that you guys do, and I'm just so proud, and I talk you guys up all the time, even though I live in Waukesha now. So, but it's great to see you. I am going to take 10 minutes, because I remember sitting at these board meetings very, very late. I'm just going to take about 10 minutes just to review kind of what Julie and I have been working on forever, I feel like, just back and forth. We're on version 20, I think, or 30 from when we started. But I have good news and bad news. The good news is congratulations, you guys passed. 80% of the referendums in the state passed, so it was just a great day for Wisconsin schools. So that's the good news. The little bit more challenging news is my interest rate update. So I don't know if you've been watching, but my world has been rocked upside down. I've been doing this for 34 years, and I have never seen the volatility and movement in interest rates that I've seen in the last 6 weeks. It's just crazy. So we're on the fast track. So I just want to give you an interest rate update, talk a little bit about some of the highlights of the financing plan, including our goals. And then I call it the board action timeline, but it's really the Julie action and Kelly action timeline. So the next slide is long-term interest rates. So the upper right-hand corner is showing you a 1-year snapshot. And you can see how interest rates have gone up since last December significantly, almost a full percentage point or more in some areas. This is a daily index, goes back 30 years. When I started at Baird, schools were borrowing 7 and 8%. So even though we've seen a huge spike in rates in the last 6 weeks, when you look at the big picture, which is the bottom chart, the dashed line is where we are today. I mean, we're still well under most of that chart. So we're still in low rates, just not as low as they have been over the last year or so. But the way they're increasing so quickly, and because of all the daily volatility that's been going on, we really want to keep moving, and that's why I'm here today, is to really keep you guys on track and get issuing debt as soon as possible. Any questions on that? We can wait till the end too if you have questions. So let's talk about just some of the highlights of the financing plan. My goal, absolute number one goal, well, I said Julie and I both, is to not increase the levy for debt payments. And we are going to reach that goal, no problem. So that's what we told the voters. That's what we went at, that's how we got this referendum passed, that we were not going to see an increase in referendum debt payments. We will not see an increase. I'm confident of that. It's really a matter of how long we amortize the debt. So originally we were starting at 15. Because rates have gone up, we're looking at going 16 and still keeping that tax levy under what we had levied last year. So I think that's great news, and we were good enough to be able to have the foresight to give ourselves that kind of flexibility, because that's what we're doing. We're giving ourselves some flexibility, and who knows, maybe we'll need to go to 17, I don't know. State statutes say 20 is max, 20 years is max. Okay, so that is number one goal. We want to minimize your interest cost, and some of that is watching the market on a daily basis and making sure we lock in when rates are low, or at least stable. We want to minimize interest rate risk. Again, getting in the market, issuing municipal bonds before there's more news, because it seems like when there's news, that's when there's the real movement and the volatility. So we're just constantly watching that. And then we want to maximize your investment earnings, and this is something that Julie and I talked about in depth, but because interest rates are in the rise, the early rates are going up as well. So the first year and the second year of an investment, what does that mean? That means when you borrow $44.6 million, you're not going to spend that all right away. You're going to be investing that. And a year ago, it would have been 0.3%. Today, it's much higher than that because rates have gone up. So the good news is that you're going to have earnings from those borrowed funds that you can use for projects. So you're going to actually, in the end up, and I don't know if you have an estimate of that yet. I haven't gotten it. Okay, so $44.6 million you'll have to spend on projects plus the earnings in that account. Whatever that is over the next 2 to 3 years, depending how long it takes you to spend, just know that is there. The IRS doesn't let you go beyond what you're borrowing. So if you borrow at 3%, they're not going to let you earn arbitrage on that. So you can't reinvest it at 4% unless you hit certain spend downs, which we don't think we're going to hit because of the supply chain situation. But that's all detail that we'll cover later. I just want you to know that is a goal of ours, is to get those funds invested as soon as possible. Okay, so the financing is going to really be at the next board meeting, the formality is going to take place. So where you had those resolutions on your agenda tonight, it's going to be the same thing. There's going to be 2 resolutions on the agenda at the next board meeting. And the first one, I'm kind of jumping around on those bullet points, but the first resolution is going to be like a construction loan. When we built the house in Muskego, we had it's a short-term bridge note, okay? So we're going to lock in on that night at your May board meeting. I don't have a date. It's May, here you go, 16th. So at the May 16th board meeting, you'll lock in the bridge loan, and those are the funds that go right in your project account. So invest them quickly, get them locked in. Then we're going to work on putting all the documentation together, working with what's called Disclosure Council, getting a bond rating. I'll talk about that in a minute. So all of the things to get in place to lock the bonds in. Okay, so the long-term 16-year, maybe 17-year loan will be locked in after that. So that relates to the second resolution. So again, the first resolution, we would call a bond anticipation note or a bridge loan or construction loan. The second resolution is going to set all the parameters of the bonds. So prepayment date, payment date, principal payments, all the parameters that go along with issuing tax-exempt municipal bonds. And so that's the second resolution. That gives Beard the authority to lock in on any day. And that's mitigating risk, right? We're picking a day where maybe you're not up against a Chicago Public Schools bonds issue, or maybe the feds aren't meeting that day, or maybe they are and we're going to wait the next day because if the feds meet and raise rates, it's going to cause volatility. So it gives us much more flexibility to lock in at any particular day that we have a strong bond market. And that's what that second resolution is going to do, because we have to make sure we hit all the parameters that you approved on May 16th. Does that make sense? So it's 2 resolutions. So again, there's a little typo there on one of those bullet points. It says 15 to 10-year amortization. It should say 15 to 20-year amortization. So again, we're not going to go shorter than 15. We're not going to go longer than 20. It's going to be somewhere in between. Right now, with today's market, we're right around that 16.
What's the range of that date? When we authorize you to pick a date, is it like sometime in the next month?
That's a great question. So we're going to, May 16th, we would lock in the parameters. We could technically lock in May 17th. The reason why we won't is because we have to get the bond rating and all the documents. So that's probably a 2-week process, maybe 3. So I'm thinking by the end of May, early June, we'll be done. We'll have locked in your fixed rate for 15 or 16 years. We'll be done. And that's the quickest we can possibly get it locked in. We've done a lot of work so far. So let's just briefly talk about bond rating, because this is something I've really been studying. There's 2 rating agencies. There's Moody's, and then there's Standard & Poor's. You guys have a Standard & Poor's AA bond rating. There's only 2 notches higher. The higher the bond rating, the lower the interest rates. So again, trying to minimize interest cost, we try to get a high bond rating. I'd love if you guys were AAA. There's actually no AAA school districts in Wisconsin. There's only 2 AA plus. So there's only 2 districts that are a notch above you, DeForest and Kettle Moraine. I should know that because that's my client. So DeForest and Kettle Moraine are both AA plus. Their fund balances are in the 40% range. You guys are in the 29. Yeah. So right there it says, there's a really good chance we're not going to be able to get, that's not the only thing they rate you on, but it's a big piece of it. Another big piece of it is leverage, or the amount of debt you have. You guys are going to have a significant amount of debt when this is all said and done, right? So they're going to look at that. That's out of your control. And fund balance is out of your control. I mean, you guys did bring it down over the last couple of years, but for good reason, right? You've upgraded the pool. So I want you to be really happy with the AA. Great job keeping that strong fund balance and managing this district very well. So I'm really happy with that. So the discussion came when we started looking at Moody's, because an equal, I don't have their box up there, but the equal rating for Moody's is what's called a AA2. The city is a AA1. They're a notch up. And so the question becomes, why couldn't we get that AA1, the notch up, a higher bond rating? And it has to do with, A, they have about half the amount of debt you'll have, and B, the way, it's really like apples and oranges when you look at bond rating a city versus a school district. Cities have different revenues, like they have the landfill revenue coming in to help, and they also have like sewer water revenues coming in. Your only revenue, aside from state aid, which they get as well, is taxes. So that is a big piece of why, if I went to Moody's, because we talked about it, I don't think you'd get the notch up, okay? So just because of the way cities and schools are so different. And also, the city does have a very strong reserve, they call it reserve fund or general fund balance, something, they have this strong fund balance, which yours is as well. But just in reading it and looking at some of the medians for schools, I don't see it happening. So we're going to stick with Standard & Poor's, and I'm not saying I'm not going to give it my all, because I will. At the end of you guys will hear me at the end of the call. I'll be like, this is why I think they should be a AA+. But I want to manage your expectations to know that it's going to be super kind of challenging to get there. But I'm going to try. So that's kind of just a general synopsis of the bond rating. I just put a timeline more for admin, but you guys, I mean, tonight we're discussing it. That's not on the timeline. And then the 16th is when the formal action by the board takes place with both, again, the short-term construction loan resolution and the parameters resolution. After that, Baird's working with the administrative team and the bond attorneys to get all of the other steps in place. We'll have a bond rating call, which if you guys are interested, I always invite if you guys want to join us for the bond rating call. Sometimes, I don't know, I think it's interesting. But
It's interesting if it's what you do for a living.
yeah. Every once in a while I get somebody who's interested, so I thought I'd throw it out there. I know I forgot to introduce Austin. He just started at Baird, he just started in public finance. He's been at Baird for how long?
2019, fall 2019.
Yeah, so he just started in public finance a couple of weeks ago, and he was super he was on the call with Julie and I the other day, so I said, just come along. I don't think he realized it was going to be this late, sorry.
That's all right.
Welcome to my world. So anyway, that's the timeline. I'll pause there and see if you guys have questions. I am probably not going to go through the detailed financing plan, even though it's...
So, on the financing plan, are we better going through it now, or do you want to go through it in May?
This is preliminary.
Yeah, because I think some of the questions that I think you've already addressed from the previous time, there may be some questions on the interest that we get off the investment, that we use to further the fees debt, and so forth. These are the questions, not that we have to answer now, but these are the questions I think we may get once we get our final numbers down and we know exactly what our investment portion will be. And then we'll take a look at that 16-year mark, of course, we're hoping for 15, right? And then, so unless the board has any other thoughts on the process, right? The numbers themselves become final next month, but if it's really on the process, which is kind of what we want to make sure, and we appreciate you being here, to make sure everyone understands, the draw schedule, funds being taken out, everything that Lisa talked about. Is there a good understanding on how that happens?
So maybe this might help answer a little bit of what you were talking about. So you're going to be borrowing the $44.6 million. You are going to have investment earnings. So after the 2 years or 3 years and everything's paid for and you go back to the referendum question and everything is covered that was on the ballot, you've paid for everything and you still have money left over. And I get this call every once in a while. 3 years later, I'll get a call. We got $200,000. I had Spring Valley call me. They had almost $1 million left over because everything came in under budget. We're just going to take those funds and pay down debt. We're going to prepay debt. But I would recommend that, and you guys can do what you want, but as you have these earnings, let them build until you know that everything is done. Then we'll pay the debt down and fees debt.
Yeah, and that worked out very well, and we did. It was a very effective strategy on allowing us to feast that, bring down the payment schedule,
exactly.
And so that, and I know you can't, the market is, right? But I really hope you for that.
I know.
But we'll work. But I think that's probably a lot of the process, because the money is what was approved. So, what you suggested and what you described right now, we all know that that's the amounts. I think it's the draw schedule and the project timeline when C.G. Schmidt and Bray have that finalized, right? And then that's going to impact a lot of the investment depending on that. So unless the board has something specific on process, I think we're a bit better off waiting for the final numbers. But
Yep, so in May, the final note will be the note on the left-hand side, that ban, that'll be finalized. The bonds will be finalized after that. And what you guys care about, look at this, you guys are just gonna be so impressed. Oh no, it doesn't work. Does it work? Oh,
I can point for you.
it works, it doesn't work. There it is. There it is, see? This is what you guys care about right here, this green shaded column. That is what, as a board member, I would be looking at. You levied $6.5 million last year, and your future levies with a 16-year amortization would be $6.3 million. An interest rate that we have right now is just shy of 4%, and I'm being conservative because that's the way I am, but then again, rates went up 6 basis points today, so I don't know where we're going to be once we lock in, like early June. I'm hoping to stay at under 4%, because if we do, then we go 16 years and we have this nice structure for your debt payments, 16 years of $6.37 million.
So Lisa, the investment rate you said can't be more than is that a state thing or what?
It's a federal IRS, since 1986, it's been, municipalities cannot, they used to borrow money at 3% and put them in the bank at 5%, you can't do that. Now, if we borrow at 4%, the chances of you guys earning more than that is pretty slim, but it's much more a topic of discussion now than it was a year ago because of the short-term rates have gone up. So you could, and so we will continue to watch that. We have professionals that are watching that for us, and if you do, you just rebate the difference. So I hope you get 4% on your money, right? And if you earn 5%, then the IRS gets the difference. They get that 1%. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. But I don't think we're going to get there, but I make it people aware of it because we could.
And then the investment that Bear does, do they diversify that investment so there's solid, you know what I mean? Like,
we are not going to do the investment. I feel it's almost a conflict of interest, I think, if we're helping with the lending side to take the money back in. So there's 2 firms out there that we're talking to that do the reinvestment. Really interesting. I could go on for 20 minutes, but I'll do it in one. What they do is they take the funds and they put $245,000 in all banks across the country. That's diversified.
Right.
And they take did I say 245? I meant 245,000 because banks are insured by the FDIC at $250,000, right? So they'll take $245,000 of the proceeds and put it in this bank and that bank, and all of your funds will be like basically buying CDs, because that's pretty much all you can invest in. There's no stocks or anything like that. No, it's just secure investments, U.S. Treasuries, CDs.
okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was curious.
Yeah.
Which is why interest rates are.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'll layer that, or they will layer that, not me. They will layer that with the draw schedule, like how much does Bray need per month, or
C.G. Schmidt.
Ray and CG.
I'm working with another district that's C.D. Smith, yeah. C.G. Schmidt, whatever. They're going to give you the monthly draw schedule, and they're going to say, this is what we need per month. And then we ladder the investments based on what they need.
And they must pay attention to due dates and dates where you don't get penalized for taking the money.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so somebody does have that.
Yeah, and C.G. Schmidt has done this enough that they know to be conservative, because, we want to make sure we don't want to have to break a CD, which I've had to do in the past with other firms.
You lose money.
I know you do.
Yeah.
So we got to be really cautious about that, yeah.
So Lisa, if we went from 16 to 17, the big disadvantages were just paying extra year's interest on what's almost paid off, is that right? Or is there something more?
There is more interest costs from 16 to 17 for sure, because you're paying 17 years, yeah, I mean,
So it'll be a higher interest rate? as
no, yeah, it would be a touch higher interest rate too, yeah, overall, because each payment has a different interest rate, and then you do the blended rate. So the blended rate right now is at 393. So if we go out one more year, it might be 397. But I mean, it's $44.6 million, and you don't need the full 20 years to amortize. That's very unusual. So it's a testament to how well you guys have structured your debt over the years. I mean, you got it. You're getting it paid off early, and yeah.
I think we're good, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm
and
good.
then-
That- You answered all my questions. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's, I appreciate
I
you
wanna listen on the call,
coming
too.
here. It's important that we all understand that process, because some of us were and were not here, or were deep part of the last referendum, so. And then Lori Conley's here, I want to make sure she heard this, so we're all on board, going down here in the same path. And so if there's no other questions from the board, I think we're good, and then we'll, as more detail becomes available, we're going to be key. And thank you for pointing out this, because that is going to be key.
It
That's
will be
on my
key.
sheet here, I'm like watching that.
Oh, yeah, really, that's what the board members need to know.
Yeah.
So the interest rate and the amortization is really the two key things. I will probably be back on the 16th, or maybe I'll send Austin, but somebody will be here to answer questions on the resolutions if there are any, or if you guys have, something comes up. But funnel anything through Julie, and I'm a phone call away if you have questions.
Thanks so much, Lisa. So nice to see you.
Good to see you guys, too.
Thank you, Lisa.
right,
Julie,
take care.
thank you. Yeah, Austin, thanks. Okay. Moving on, item 11. Information follow-up. Have before you the financials, summaries, personal information, the memo. Any follow-up on those? Okay, hearing none, having no other business before this Board of Education. Mrs. Boss, a motion to adjourn is in order.
Second.
All those in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
I'm sorry? That is an aide, but yeah, the instructional assistant.
She's retiring.
Rachel Morley.
Yeah. But then I don't know too many of the aides at the high school.
Yeah.